Today I want to talk about Oklahoma's game against TCU and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolks? It's RJ Young. I'm not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to preview Oklahoma versus Texas Christian with my buddy Brett, who is an avid OU fan, one of the biggest OU fans I've ever met in my life. And I really enjoy chopping it up with him about what is going to happen when Gary Patterson and the boys come to Norman to play Oklahoma Senior Day. So they're a 19-point favorite in this game, and we'll get into the specifics of this, but I also want to encourage you to sign up for my newsletter. It's free. You give me your trash email, your junk email, the email that you only use for coupons, and maybe perhaps checking in on what I've written from time to time, and you'll be entered to win the Hurts lamp. I'm going to give it away on December 8th. That means between now and December 7th is your window to sign up so you can be entered to win that lamp. I'm so excited about this game. I'm so excited about what's coming next. We have some big things that I'm working on for the channel, and it's continuing to grow, and it's continuing to grow because of folks like you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for even clicking the thumbnails and spending some time here and then going on about your business. I appreciate you. All right, let's talk to Brett. Okay, so special guest. I'm joined by Brett Burns, a.k.a. this Angry Sooner, because, well, my homie hit me up with a text because he never does that because he understands and whatnot. But when he does, I'm like, oh, I haven't talked to Brett in quite some time. It'd be cool for everybody to hear Brett. How you doing, bro?
Ah! I'm trapped in a glass cage of emotion. Baxter, is that you?
Oh, man.
Bark twice if you're in Milwaukee.
Oh, man.
What in the heck, RJ? What's going on, my brother?
Not much, dude, but like it would have been a peak night for you on the Twitters last night, dude. We're recording this on a Sunday night, so like
I'm so thankful that I was not.
Oh my God.
For my sanity. I have no doubt that it was burning to the ground.
Oh man.
Because I was almost about to burn my house to the ground. So I have no delusions of what Twitter was probably like, and I am okay that I missed it.
Bro, I went back through like samples of my tweets from last night, and it was like I wasn't profane because I don't because kids watch my channel, right? And kids watch my Twitter. But man, like I haven't blocked people in like months because like after when I was first getting everything going, I was getting all these people coming from everywhere, and I'd done kind of a culling and whatnot, and most of the people in my mentions, they disagree with me, that's fine, but you don't get to come in there and cuss me out or whatever.
Oh, right.
And last night, I swear I hit the block button like a dozen times.
It's probably for the better, man. You know, they say money is the root of all evil, but that's not true. Oklahoma Sooner football not playing well is the root of all evil.
So, like, my peak tweet, I think, was, this is the worst start I've seen by an OU team who just absolutely crapped the bed since 05 USC.
That's probably accurate.
Okay.
I think I probably would give you that only because of the competition that we were facing against Alabama, but last year's Alabama game was pretty rough. But because of the level of competition, the national stage, this is Baylor. I'm giving that to you.
You're a 10.5-point favorite.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to beat Alabama. You're not favored to win that game.
Yeah.
And they were down something like 28-0 or 21-0, and I was like, hey, Lincoln, or 21-3. And I was like, Lincoln, maybe call one of those come to Jesus meetings that you waited too long to call against Alabama in the Orange Bowl. And they go out down 28-3, and I was like, okay, well, all right, there it is, fine, whatever.
I'm telling you that, yeah, it was definitely one of the worst halves of Oklahoma football that has happened during my lifetime. And I was watching a little bit during the Blake era. So, there's that.
Okay, so outside of that, like, what were you like that drive where he was looking to, like, Oklahoma was looking to tie the game up because the series before they had it, I want to say the series before, was the one where Jalen fumbled the ball like as he was walking into the end zone?
Yeah. We missed that, and our defense came back, got a good stop,
Right.
and then we got it back again, and then like this is the drive, right? Like,
Right.
if we don't do this drive, then we put ourselves in a really bad situation. I was nervous, man. I had all the same emotions as probably everybody else. I was nervous. I was worried. I didn't want it to come down to the defense. I was yelling at the screen for Lincoln to kill some more clock. Like,
why are you throwing the ball?
Anymore. Stop throwing the ball. Stop throwing the ball. Just run the clock down. Win by 3. It doesn't matter. Just win the game. So when they got the ball back with I think it was like a minute and 30 something left, I was sweating for sure. But hey, the boy. I mean, that second half, those boys came to play. I mean,
bro,
they played well.
Shut them out.
They played well. And listen, I'm not gonna stroke my own ego here, but I think if you go back to like the Boomer Boys podcast, and all my tweets are deleted, but if you were able to go back and look at my tweets, I've been saying this since Lincoln took over. This is the way we should be playing football. The way we played that second half. Our defense is a liability. Keep them off the field. Sustain drives, 10-plus play drives, 5-minute drives, 8-minute drives. The other offense is off the field, just sitting there getting cold. They're going to have a hard time getting rhythm, and that's exactly what happened last night. We should be playing every game this way.
I am not really into the score too fast brigade, but I agree that you should be running the ball. Problem I have still to this day is Jalen had 27 carries. Kennedy
and our running backs had how many?
Kennedy had, I want to say 23, or they had 23 combined. I got to go look it up because I don't have the number in front of me. But I know this. Ramondre put the ball on the ground. Jalen put the ball on the ground. Kennedy still ain't put the ball on the ground. Like, I just hand that dude the because, like, on third downs and whatnot.
He's a walking 5 yards, man.
Right.
I mean, it's almost a guarantee. There's maybe 2 carries last night that he didn't get 5 yards on.
He's going to find space.
I don't understand it either. And look, by no means am I questioning Lincoln Riley. I am not a football coach. I do not have the pedigree or the intelligence or the experience to be able to say that I could step in that man's position and do better, because that's a lie. But it feels, as a fan watching, that when things get heavy, Lincoln kind of tunnel visions, and everything that's great about his play calling and everything that's great about our offense seems to get a lot more predictable, and that's really concerning to me because we have much more data to go off of now to show that might be the case.
I was privileged to be exchanging text messages with a buddy of mine who works on the football side in the NFL and knows from what he sees, right? One of these folks that can just pick apart a play on the first watch. It takes me 2-3 times minimum, right? And that's if I just know exactly what I'm looking for. But he was saying, no, Lincoln's going to figure this out because it's there. I'm figuring it out. It's just he doesn't have the benefit of seeing what I see from this press box. He's down there on the field, which is a disadvantage to a little bit. But he's basically going, no, give him the half. He'll see what he needs to see, and you'll start to see him take advantage of what's already on his play card because it's there. He's like, no, it's on that 3x5. It's there. And you saw it with how he was calling plays for Jalen, how he's calling plays for the running backs. And once you saw the true freshmen start getting involved, like in a really big way, like Jaden Hazelwood, Theo Weiss, those kinds of guys, and you didn't see so many targets to Nick Basquin and A.D. Miller, who played okay, but Nick Basquin walked on. Jaden Hazelwood's the best recruit in the country last year. So it was one of those. You're pulling your hair out because I felt like Rob Schneider in Necessary Roughness, where it's like, hey, now is not the time to make sure everybody's played.
Right. Yeah. Man, it's tough. It's tough because I remember thinking while I was watching it, I don't want to dump on Jalen. I definitely bought into the hype. I had my reservations at first, and then the first 3 games I became a big Jalen fan. And then last night, I'm just sitting here asking myself, and I'm wondering, how many touchdowns are we leaving off the board because he's not seeing the read or because he's not seeing the progression, right? And I'm super happy that those guys came in and made some big plays, but there's got to be, and I listened to his post-game speech, and that's why you love the guy, because he took full accountability and gave all the praise to the team. Didn't take accountability for the win, but took accountability.
Brett, who the hell was he gonna blame?
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
All
Like,
right.
that only gets you so far.
It was like, wait, who else's fault was it? You're in your hands. 95 snaps. You took all 95.
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Okay.
I am with you. But this is college football, so it's not the normal for somebody to come on and say, I put us in a bad position to win and my team saved me. So I had respect for that. That's not an excuse in any way. And there has to be, I mean, I was one of the guys yelling from my couch, like, yo, put Rattler in. You know what I mean? Like at this point,
damn the red shirt.
In the first half, like, let's get these kids, throw them into the fire and get some playing time or something, you know. But look, Lincoln trusted in his guy, and it turned out to be all right. Now, that doesn't mean I'm happy with it. I'm worried moving forward because I don't think this is going to be the last game like this.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good place to pivot into Texas Christian. And I'm calling them Texas Christian because that's the name of the university. Look, where I'm sitting, Oklahoma's playing with house money and has been since basically Kansas State, right? Because, like, you were supposed to drub Iowa State and you did not, right? It was like I was joking when I said it was the worst win of my life, but everybody gets the point here. You need style points, right? Because people are gassing up Oregon. People are gassing up Utah. Georgia's out in front at number 4, and if they beat LSU, you assume they get in. LSU's going to get in. Ohio State's going to get in, regardless of what they do. I think all of those, there's 3 teams that are going to make this thing, right? LSU, Clemson, and Ohio State. So you're begging LSU to beat Georgia, and you're begging Utah or Oregon to take an L, or that Pac-12 championship to just be so bad that nobody thinks that one of those teams is good. That aside, though, I've already said Oklahoma playing Sugar Bowl is just fine with me, right? Because you win a Big 12 championship, you go win a Sugar Bowl as a one-loss team, you finish number 5, if not number 4. You can't lose to Kansas State on the road. You just can't. So
No, you can't.
I can't say I'm nervous. Not nervous. I'm just going, okay, well, you weren't supposed to beat Iowa State. You weren't supposed to beat Baylor. Let's see what Max Duggan, Sonny Cumbie, and Gary Patterson are going to do this weekend.
Yeah, you know, and my thing is, not all of these teams are pretty equal. I mean,
they're good. They're all good. It's a cannibal conference.
Yeah, they're good. They're good squads, but they're not any squads. None of them are squads that should be playing with us. Period. And you know, you're right. You don't go to Kansas State and lose. Like, this team shouldn't have done that. You don't go to Baylor and pull out a last minute win. You know what I mean?
25 down and then decide to start playing ball.
Yeah, and
spot him 25.
TCU isn't any less of an opponent than Baylor.
No.
You know, they're not going to lay down for us, and we're going to get their best game, and it's going to take Jalen really getting things under control and stopping these turnovers, and it's going to take, you know, an all-around good game. But as to your point, we're just in a familiar position. I mean, as the new era of Oklahoma football, all we know is outside looking in because of the Kansas State mistakes, because of the Iowa State mistakes in years past, because of the Houston mistakes in years past. The difference is we're not playing our best football in November as we were those years. I mean, you go back and this game in years past is the game where we came out and made a statement and made people say, okay, we can't ignore Oklahoma. We didn't do that. And I don't think with TCU or Oklahoma State, unless we just completely figure it out, I'm worried that we're not going to do that either. So I definitely never give up hope. I'm a Sooner born, Sooner bred, and when I die, I'll be sooner dead. But you know, it's a long shot from my perspective and vantage point for us to have a shot at these playoffs.
I look at TCU and I see a solid run game. I see Taye Barber ascending past Jalen Reagor as the guy that I'm most terrified of. He had 8 catches for 137 against Texas Tech, and I've loved Max Duggan from the moment that I saw him at the opening couple years back. because that kid just knows how to win. He does not mind running at you. He does not mind getting pelted. He is tough as nails. And we all know what Gary Patterson's defense is and what it could be. Now, I think Jeff Gladney's going to miss the first half of this game because he got ejected for targeting in the Tech game. So that helps tremendously because that's their best corner, and that guy's going to play in the league. But to the point of they shouldn't be playing with Oklahoma, I think the league has just gotten that much better. If for no other reason than you saw what Kansas was able to do to Boston College, and I know Boston College ain't great, but A.J. Dillon is. And you saw what they were to do against Texas Tech, where they actually did get a win in conference play. We're talking about, everybody's lost to everybody by now. Kansas State lost to West Virginia. West Virginia is a team that Oklahoma ran. But to talk about this team, Baylor had 17 fumbles and 8 that they didn't recover heading into this game. So they like to put the ball on the ground. So I was thinking, if Grinch's defense is ever going to get any turnovers, this is the one. And my goodness, did they ever come up with a couple?
Man, did they come up at the – I mean, I almost broke so many things at that moment.
Was it the Pat Fields one or the Nick Bonito one?
Well, both of them, but more the Pat Fields one.
Yeah.
Because that one was the one, we knew that drive, we had to stop them.
Right.
And I saw him break loose. And I was like, here we go again. Mm-hmm. And then, boop, I saw that ball pop out. Boy, I turned into
get on the ball.
Tornado. Man, I was on top of my couch. My wife was yelling at me like noise. I mean, yeah, it was exciting to see. And props to Pat, man. I mean, he plays a lot bigger than he is. He definitely has had his mistakes, but.
Trouble has me pulling my hair out. I'm just DTY, Delarian Turner Yell. His nickname is Trouble. That dude, it's like, why are we having a linebacker playing safety, guys? He's so lost out there.
I was gonna say when he gets a clean hit, it's I'm all for it. But you're right. Yeah, he's definitely a liability. And then for the Bonito one, man, how does he drop the first one?
Oh, man. He knew it, too. But you know what? He didn't drop the second one.
Because the first one was like,
right.
My little sister could have caught that one. And the second one was like an NFL caliber play.
Right.
Like, what?
And that dude plays outside linebacker.
I was speechless, man. I was just speechless. I couldn't believe it. I don't know. We'll see. I'll disagree with you a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
On everybody else catching up to us, because I think I think this has been the case for many years, when we don't beat ourselves, we're unbeatable. The problem is we are not disciplined. We are one of the least disciplined teams in the country, and it ends up being that way year in and year out. Small mistakes here and there, always on ourselves, and we beat ourselves. The second half of the game last night, erasing just that one kind of fluke fumble, because, that guy barely touched the ball, and it just kind of popped right out. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I think you saw the difference in talent. Like, these guys on Baylor were flying around and were on top of the world whenever we didn't know what the hell we were doing. Excuse me.
That's okay.
But second we said, all right, you know what? Not anymore. Let's play some big boy football. You want to hit? Let's hit. It wasn't half of a quarter before those guys wearing green were just, you could just tell. I could see it. They didn't want it anymore. They were done with it. And then the offense comes on and they're nervous. They've never been here before like this. I say they've never been there. They've won most of their games closely, but
I was about to say this is their home. This is their home.
But it's different. It's different when it's a close game and there's that logo in front of you that says OU. Because we are the standard. It's intimidating no matter what anybody says. Like, it's different to play Oklahoma State close and be confident going into the last quarter. It's another thing to be hitting in the mouth by the big boys and then still be able to step up and do your thing. And credit to them. They played really, really well. I'm not trying to discount Baylor at all. I'm just saying, like, when we do decide to play the real game of football, instead of being all fancy and try to go for every record that there is, like, part of me, and I could be wrong here, but part of me feels like Lincoln Chase's stats more than he chases the wins.
Okay, well,
And that's probably the worst. I'm probably so far off on that, but from a fan standpoint, that's what it feels like sometimes.
I want to pick that up just a second. Let me turn tape over.
They always seem to be plays that are, like you would assume, are just natural plays that are easy to make. I mean, there's not very many of them that I've seen where we dropped a pass that hit our guy's hands, or there was a fumble on the ground and it just went right under our guy and went right back to their guy. You know, like that stuff happens often. We just never come up with it. Last night was great, but I have such a hard time looking over the past 3 years of our defense and saying and betting on anything of, oh yeah, that ball is right on the ground and there's no other opposing player within 10 yards. I'm still not betting that we get that ball. I don't know why. I don't know how it's going to happen, but somehow we're not going to get that ball. I don't know why that is. I hope it changes. I hope you're right. I hope TCU falls right in line with their stats. But I couldn't – you couldn't get me to wager anything on it.
Yeah, because the thing that I need to also remind folks about is while TCU is 5-5, they did beat Texas. And you could make the joke that who hasn't beat Texas, well, I mean it's still – you know, what I fear is that Taye Barber can take the lid off the defense, and so can Jalen Reagor. And when they're not, you're probably going to get run on. And that's, you know, like thinking about Grinch, thinking about the defense, thinking about how much people really love to bag on Buki. And he had a couple of busts, one in which he just kind of got caught in no man's land, and he didn't take the back. He was supposed to take the back. Back went over the top, goes for 6. And you can see Grinch is lighting him up. But the thing that I saw, though, was Buki take the coaching, as they say. Like me, I figured out a long time ago, I am not built for that. You can't just yell at me and call it instruction. You're going to have to talk to me like an adult. Like even as a child.
I don't know why it's so difficult for people to understand. I really don't. You know, if anybody who's listening has followed me for any amount of time while I was on Twitter, like this has always been my take. I'm never going to trash talk somebody that's doing something that I was never able or capable of doing. Not just the coaching, but the athletic ability as well, and what it takes to be able to play at a high level in Division I football. You're not going to see me do that. Like, did Buki miss some plays? Did he play well in accordance with that level of football?
No.
And the expectations that we have? Certainly not.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be the guy to tell him that he's terrible or
especially on Twitter.
Mom.
Right?
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to tag his mom in a tweet and be like, dude, your son's terrible. You know, like, I'm not doing – that's because this guy's doing something that 95% of people in the world can't do.
Well, the way that I get at that, right, is we're talking about guys and in many cases women when we're talking about in other sports who are blessed with athleticism and ability that is innate. That's like being able to throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. You know, you don't coach it, you just have it or you don't. And I don't think that there's merit to that. I don't think that there's skill to that. I think there is skill and merit to how do you handle yourself. Right? And that's what I get at about the coaching, right? If you think that coaching is yelling at a person, you're going to have to actually walk that out for me, because what we would call that is actually just getting yelled at and losing your temper. All right, so it's different when you're on a football field or it's different when you're in an athletic environment. I think that it worked with some people. Like Jeremy Pruitt's kids love him, and we watched him just lay into Jarek Guarantano, who tried to win a game against Alabama. But for me, it's always going to be, what does the kid respond to? Does the kid just say, no, that's how I was raised, and I get that, I'm with that? Because Buki's also the guy, Caleb Kelly was first to point this out when he got on the campus, because we were asking about him, you know, and he's going, he's different. And we say, okay, everybody says that, we get it, you put that on a shirt, how is he different? He said Mike would yell at him, and he would say, hey, coach, just tell me, like, clearly, what is it that you want me to do differently? You don't have to yell. I got it. And Mike would keep yelling at him. And Buki would hear what he was saying in between being yelled at and try to go do that without giving it back, without saying, hey, man, you ain't got to yell at me. He would just kind of be like, all right, this is how you communicate. And in many instances, for me, especially as I follow the kid and I've got to know people around him, he's the adult in the room. He's the guy that's just gonna let you vent. He's gonna be, and I don't know any 19-year-olds that are doing that, Brett.
Yeah, I mean, his environment that he comes from, it's well documented. I think it's pretty easy when you come from something like that in an area like that, in a place like that, to, there's not going to be much that's going to phase you, right? Like you're out. You got out, you're doing your thing. But I think his maturity for sure is unquestionable. I mean, there's no argument that you can make against it. And, as grown men and women who, want to sit on the couch and eat Cheetos while we're watching football and, yell at a kid for not making an incredibly difficult split-second decision on where they're supposed to be at and how they're supposed to defend, and then add the athletic ability, God-given or not, right? But you have to incorporate it in with the mental capacity it takes to play the game at this level. Hey, it's just, it doesn't make sense to look at any one of these kids, no matter their success on this level, in a negative light, because they're just chasing their dreams, man. And, they're doing the best that they can. If you walk up to any one of those kids, if you walk up to Buki right now and say, hey man, let's go back to last night. You get a mulligan. Which, how many plays would you miss? If he gets to choose, right? Like he's going to choose 9.
Right.
It's not like the kid's like out there purposely doing it, right? Like that's not how it works. But this is also what makes college football fun, right? Is the amount of emotion that's involved in it and how passionate people are about it. And it's why it's in my opinion, one of the greatest sports on the planet, because it is the greatest sport in the game as football. But then you add that level of camaraderie, of attachment. People go to school and pay money to these schools, and then, they're a part of that fraternity for life. And this is what represents that fraternity in a very visible fashion. So I get it. I understand it. It's just not something that I personally will ever do. And to your point, when I played in high school, I never had an issue with my coaches yelling at me, and I've had them, up in my face quite a bit. But I think a lot of it depends on the relationship, like you said, that you have. If that's all the relationship is, I'm sure it's going to get draining real quick. I have a feeling with Grinch that that's not all the relationship is, and it's those points in time are saved for situations and circumstances that call for it. And I'm sure most kids on that team probably can understand that and have a relationship with him, but for sure, Boogie, like for sure, because of his maturity level.
I'll buy that, man. Is there anything else you want to get in? Because I know that we've been talking football and whatnot, but it's good to hear you, dude. It just is, especially.
Yeah, man, all the time. I love doing this. I love giving some time and catching up, and this is fun for me, and I love supporting what you're doing. I don't really have anything. What I would say is I didn't get a chance to tell you. You had mentioned maybe jumping off Twitter and what that might look like for you. We talk about him in our private text message a lot. But Peter McKinnon, if you look at his YouTube, he's got 4 mil.
Yeah.
And you look at his Twitter, and he's got 335,000.
Yeah.
The content that you're doing and what you're doing, I don't think is reliant on Twitter. Now, I don't want to encourage you to leave it, but you could probably limit your time there as to linking it to some sort of platform that posts for you automatically when you upload or something. You know what I mean?
No, well, I mean, and YouTube took that function away, and many creators were pissed because they were like, no, the data says that if you do this, manually, you get more engagement, yada yada yada. And it's like, no, that's not. You're missing it.
Yeah.
But we want to use our time for something else. But because it's, even at the small number that I'm at, the bigger it gets, the less it feels like I'm just talking to my friends, and the more it feels like somebody's just going to aggregate what I say or what I made a joke about that I think, the people that I tweet for. So like I went to go see Ford v Ferrari because that story speaks to me. It has always spoken to me. I love it.
Dude, I'm so. Did you already watch it?
Oh yeah, I went the day it came out.
What did you think? Like in like one word.
One word.
Okay, one sentence.
I was crying about watching grown-ass white men in the 60s.
All right, that's what's up.
Okay.
So I have a Shelby, and I'm super
Oh
excited.
my God! Yeah.
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 I'm super excited to go see it because I now own kind of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
God.
So I'm excited to hear that you enjoyed it, and that it was something that was good for you, because I don't go to the movies often. But I think I'm gonna make a trip.
No,
for this one.
make the time, and I'll put it this way: I went to go see it at IMAX on
nice,
right,
nice.
but it was me and like 4. I'm gonna say that the youngest person in there is probably like 60, so it's like, it's for us. You're either a car nut, or you grew up with this story. And I read AJ Bame's book, Goat Like Hell, which is fantastic. If you want an in on this story, Ford v Ferrari is about the Ford Motor Company trying to win Le Mans, and Le Mans is the toughest race in the entire world to win. It is 24 hours. It is on a country friggin' road. There are no guardrails. It is not NASCAR. And it is, as I say, 24 hours, you're driving at night. And you're 4 hours off.
Dominated by foreign manufacturer, right?
And Ferrari would spend every dime he had to win that race. He was bankrupt, still making Ferraris so that he could win that race. That's how much it meant to him. And that's why Ford wanted to win it, right? And at the time, we're talking about the dudes having all this money to spend on the best race cars. And then he found the only guy, or not the only guy, but one of the only Americans to ever win it in Carroll Shelby. And Shelby is perhaps the greatest American race car, or just car designer who ever lived. And my favorite is the 67 GT500, and it is too expensive. But if I ever do get there, I will own one. For those of you that,
so I've got a 16 GT350.
Okay, no, that's primo.
No, it's incredible. It's incredible. But yeah, I'd love. I mean, I've said my uncle had a 67 GT350, which is why I wanted the 350 so bad when they remade it.
What color?
And that, if I ever had a dream car to pick, that's what I would do. I mean, the 500 is almost unattainable.
Yeah,
but the 350 is a little bit more attainable. So I feel like that's like a bucket list goal. That
you can order a 350. You can order a new 500. You can't find the 67. Nobody's gonna sell you a 67.
Well, I just feel like there's, some kind of luck of the draw could happen where I might stumble across one, but you're probably right. No. So I'm just going to have to deal with the 16, which I'm okay with, but no, dude, I'm super excited to see that. And other than that, man, there's nothing really to go on, but I'm happy to talk to you and hear you. And I love what you're doing again. I always say it, and I'm always going to support you.
Okay. I have a question.
Okay.
How are the monologues hitting you? How's the prompter? Because
I love them.
Okay.
I love them, but I mean, look, we live in a different day and age, and people want instant gratification, and people are very selfish, and they only want to listen to what they want to listen to. I have always loved creativity. I have always loved when I can tell that there's a lot of effort into something, that somebody put a lot into something. And for me, it's one of my favorite segments that you've ever done, because I really, really enjoy the amount of effort and detail that you put into them. And I really enjoy the creativity. They're always funny. They're always witty. They're always smart and intelligent. I love them. And I say, screw everybody else who doesn't. Keep doing them.
Well, no, and that's that. Thank you. Because when I wanted to do that and when I decided to do that, I get that it's a little bit old school for people's taste, and I get that people like it when you're just kind of up here yelling for no apparent reason. But I've, for the most part, been organized in most things that I do, and I missed writing, and it's a thing that I'm good at. Like I did one, I think, tonight. Yeah, I did do one tonight, and it was 1,700 words, and I routinely pump those out.
I can't even imagine what it takes to do something like that. I mean, I guess I put a lot of effort into work, so like I'm proud of the work that I do in my career. So I would assume that I could put the same level of what you do, because you're doing this for a living, so it makes sense. But man, listen, I wasn't lying when I told you, like, the first time I didn't know that this is what you were going to do. And I just clicked on the next RJ video and I just put it on while I was doing some other stuff. And I remember thinking to myself, like, why does RJ sound like Stuart Scott right now? What is going on? Like, why? And then I sat down and I listened more intently and I was like, is this a new thing? And then, like, it was like a week later and I heard the next one. I was like, this is a new thing. All right, that's what's up. And I really enjoyed it. And I would tell you this as somebody that I love dearly, and who I consider a very good friend. Just do what you want to do, man. Don't worry about anybody else. You are always going to be successful in this life if you've got the work hard thing down. I don't know anybody else that works harder than you. You've got the personality thing down. You're incredibly intelligent, educated, and fun to listen to. You've got a great sense of humor, and you've got a kindness that doesn't happen at your level of success very often. So just do what you want to do, man. Like, the rest will follow. You might lose some, but you're gonna gain some others. Just do what you want to do, man. Don't let anybody steer you any direction or pigeonhole you into thinking you have to do something to maintain your success or be more successful. Just follow your heart, man, and the rest will take care of itself.
Brett Burns, a.k.a. the Angry Sooner, one of my pals, and I'm going to make more of an effort to do this, dude. Thank you so much.
Hey, listen, it doesn't matter if we do it twice a week or we don't do it for another 3 years. It's all good. I enjoy it every time we do it, and when it makes sense, let's rock and roll, and when it doesn't, keep doing our thing, man.
Right on, man.